Welcome to my temporary camera setup here because, oh my god, I was pretty sick last night. I got sunburned too. All in one day did I manage to get an insane runny nose, head cold, miniature cold, and sunburn. Stupid. It was cold, but then it was also hot. I arrived at Woodburn Drag Strip for Import Face Off. And the morning was quite brisk. It was so cold. And it was weird. I actually was walking around and looking at stuff. People were still arriving. And I was like, okay, I gotta go back and get my hat. I have one of those fuzzy winter hats with the ear flaps. And I went back to the car, got that. And I remember there were two girls that were parked next to me. And I got out of my car, because they were talking next to their car, which was right next to mine. I got out of my car, looked at them, and I went, it's fucking cold, isn't it? And they just immediately were like, yeah, it's so freezing. And we had a good short chat about the insanely stupid weather. And, I had this runny nose start forming because it was so cold, I was like, damn. And throughout the night then, like later on, like it got worse and worse and worse after I came home, and I had this crazy just headache, sinus pressure, so bad like my teeth were hurting, and like my whole face, my whole head. It was brutal. And then of course when I got home I realized that I had all this sunburn because occasionally the sun would peek out then go away, then all cold would come back, then the sun would peek out. What is this 4-season ass event? So it was fun, but it's actually pretty nice out right now. I got a nice window here and I'm looking at my notes in front of me. I also learned, lenses, heavy, the 70 to 200. I mean, it's only an f4. I'm like, maybe the micro four thirds guys are right, but I also might have been happier with a super zoom lens. I actually was carrying around this little camera a lot, the little RX100 from Sony. Super nice. I'm telling you, these things are hidden weapons in photography battlefield. Nobody expects these things to be as good as they are, but they really deliver. I also find that the raw file editability on those are staggering. You can pull so much out of them that you're just like, oh my god, it keeps going. Same thing with their RX10 series. I really wish they made removable lenses for them and just kept that form factor, But for my full size, DSLR, wherever it might be, I should have invested in a super zoom lens just to kind of keep that going without changing lenses and then carrying around like 8 different things. Just a super zoom and a prime, I'd be fine. But I didn't do that, and I still want a 5D, which is going to be definitely bigger and heavier than my 60D. Still lighter than my 1D though, but until I get more batteries for that, I'm not really taking that as a main camera. Although, I do miss using it. So, alongside the 60D, I did use the RX100 a lot. I also took a few things on my SX170 IS, which I also took a lot of the videos on, because between the RX100 and SX170, like the 480p quality is fine, like to put them together. Some days I really just wish I was a compact camera guy. If I could just get the most recent version of one of these, you get a 24 to 200, was it 2.8 to 4.5, you get a little viewfinder, you get a flash that still pops up, only a little bit bigger body than this. Oh, and the screen can tilt up. Like, why are we not funding more of those? They're so good. Instead of Sony mirrorless, I think I'd just go Sony pocket camera mirrorless. It's amazing, these things nowadays. But I'd miss my mirror too much. I need the SLRs. So besides the crippling shyness that I get from talking to you in front of this camera here, and walking around with a camera at events and videotaping things, it doesn't matter if something is familiar to me, like a car show. I just genuinely super shy, forget what I want to do, what I want to say. I'm like, oh God, they looked at me, I'll just point the other way. It's just, it is what it is. It's standard, just, I'd rather be that guy that's really far away that nobody can see, still covering the event, just, with like the 600mm f4 lens, rather than the guy who's like 16mm right up to your face. There's places for both. I'm much too shy for the wide angles, but I try and I fail. So, but they're extremely friendly there. People are just very, very willing to let you photograph their car. I'm sure them as well with their car. If you wanted to do portraits, that's not my style because I suck. But hey, I mean, out of all the places you could be, a car show is one of the safest in terms of photography because people love showing off their work. And if you talk to them, sometimes you'll see something that you like. Sometimes people will do interesting, tasteful mods, and you'll be like, wow, okay, that looks cool. Like from a standpoint of, like how did you get like a rug inside the car? How did you get like a granite countertop in here? Some people are crazy. There wasn't anything like that, but there was a few things that were pretty cool. But like, there's something for everybody if you appreciate art at a car show. So you could just do something if you want, or you could, I don't know, I'm just trailing off at this point. That head cold just took me out. No, I'm just complimenting it. It's great.
Much obliged. I really appreciate it.
But either way, I had a great time walking around at the car show, seeing everything that's new and different, because every year there's something that will change. And I think last year was more of like, it was very sunny, it attracted more of the racers. This year it was more, definitely on the car show side. And I still don't know what a two-step competition is. I don't get it. It just like sounds like for 20 minutes. I don't get it. Sorry. But it drew a huge crowd. Massive crowd. I wasn't even able to see anything. I was like, don't care. All I hear is somebody just sitting at rev limiter. I mean, I know two-stepping is its own thing. I just don't understand it. So, sorry to the crowd who enjoys it. They did low car limbo though. That was pretty funny. And yeah, I do think that limbo is something that works pretty well with cars. It's funny. Definitely ones where you could, sit down in the car and just easily just touch the ground. I can't imagine driving that around. It'd be fun, but it's gotta be so creepy just sitting so crunched down. It was cool nonetheless. But yeah, a lot of my shots actually were used with the 60D, with the 70-200, 51.4, and the 24-105 with a filter that I just decided not to take off, which is a mist filter. And I don't know, kind of came out okay, but it still, I rather would have had that biting sharpness from it rather than the slightly soft side, because there wasn't really much light to like radiate off of subjects. Once in a while you could see it did, but it wasn't the right choice to leave it on there. So the 70-200 carried the rest of the job, and I was like, yeah, this will do. 51.4 actually hits focus pretty accurately, which is, on a camera that you can't adjust, the one camera that you can't adjust from this time period for manual calibration of your autofocus lenses. It's pretty accurate. Anyways, I wanted to just talk about my Woodburn drag strip experience with Import Face Off as the event there, and it was really fun. Besides me having a 4-season experience nearly and getting sick after, 10 out of 10 would do it again. But bring some medicine for next time if I'm gonna be out in the cold the whole time.